Here are 31 secrets you probably didn't know about the upper moons. Like, we all know that Daki was named Ume because of the disease that killed her mother, but did you know that this disease is actually syphilis? You see, in Japanese, you can read the same letter in two different ways, and if you take the first letter of the word syphilis, you can read it as ume, the other being bai, while you can also use this kanji to spell the word syphilis as well. In this channel, you learn about Demon Slayer and some Japanese. Let's continue. Daki's entire persona is likely based on Rakshasa, found in Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism. Rakshasa are man-eating demons who lure in men or women with lust. Being female, Daki embodies that of Rakshasi, female man-eating demons who lured both men and women with lust and desire to their death. How is that for a happy ending? Speaking of Japanese folklore, Daki's ability to transform her neck into an extendable sash appears to be based on the Japanese folklore supernatural being called Rokurokubi. The fact her abilities manifested as sentient obi sashes could also be a reference to the Itan Momen, a being depicted as a bolt of cotton cloth that would flutter around at evening attacking people. Also, did you know that Muzan didn't really think that much of Daki? He considered her to not be very bright, but despite that fact, he pretended to like her because she was a major source of income for him. If you want Muzan's favorite upper moon and main source of income, you should keep watching the video. In the upper moon's meeting, Muzan stated that Gyotaro was the real upper moon, and not Daki. Also, he was one of Muzan's favorite upper ranks because of his greediness and circumstances, showing how much Muzan enjoys suffering and pain. Since we established that Gyotaro's mother died from syphilis, it was likely that Gyotaro suffered from congenital syphilis, which occurs when a mother is pregnant while being infected. That would explain Gyotaro's ugly appearance, as the symptoms include deformed skeletal structures, crooked teeth, inflamed gums, and blotches caused by rash. The next in line is Upper Moon 5, Gyokko. Remember that we promised to reveal Muzan's favorite upper moon? Well, it's no other than Gyokko. But don't be mistaken, it's not that Muzan actually liked someone, but Gyokko's pots are quite beautiful and are sold for high amounts of money. Even the Demon King needs that cash sometimes. Also, did you know that Gyokko is one of the only upper ranks, the other being Nakame, who doesn't have a backstory mentioned in the manga regarding his past or his first meeting with Muzan? However, the second fanbook provides a brief summary of his past as a human. Gyokko lived on the outskirts of a fishing village near the coast and was disliked for repeatedly collecting fish carcasses and doing other strange things. He lost his parents at an early age when they went out fishing and never came back, their drowned bodies found badly damaged. So the villagers kept their distance, thinking that he had lost his mind. However, Gyokko instead killed the village child who came to tease him and stuffed the body in a jar. It seemed he became fascinated by the beauty of his parents' drowned bodies. In rage, the child's parents stabbed Gyokko with a two-pronged fishing fork, and he was left to die there. A half day passed and he was still alive, and Muzan was passing by, so he turned Gyokko into a demon. His human name before then was Managi, and when he became a demon, he ate children's flesh and modified his body as he liked. Except for Muzan, he despised all living things, and he laughed and sneered at them from the bottom of his heart. Up next, we have Upper Moon 4 Hantengu. We all know that Hantengu was a liar, but did you know that Hantengu lied about his name, age, and background so much that he forgot what his real name, age, or background really is? Hantengu had married and had children several times. This didn't last though, as whenever he would be accused of dishonesty, he would feel as if he was mistreated and kill his wives and children in anger. This cycle of marrying, having children, and killing seems to have continued until he met Muzan. Well, I think this guy was a demon even as a human. Muzan sees Hantengu as normal, but sometimes he's so annoying it's intolerable. So is he normal or not? I guess we'll never know. Next in line, we have the Upper Moon 3 Akaza. Did you ever wonder why Akaza's technique is shaped like a compass? Well, it's possibly due to the influence of his fiancée. Koyuki's name contains the kanji for snow, and she also wore 3 snowflake-shaped hairpins. Did you know that Akaza was one of Muzan's favorites? He considered him loyal and serious, but despite his loyalty, Akaza never felt respect or awe for Muzan. He only saw him as someone who gave orders and saw himself as someone who must obey. Because he was one of Muzan's favorites, he allowed him to not eat women, a fact that annoyed Upper Moon 2 Douma. It's also implied that Akaza retained most of his human features as a demon, including his tattoos. As his crimes became more and more by killing and devouring people, the tattoos from his arms spread more to symbolize the amount of crimes he's committed. Also, did you know that Akaza once battled Kokushibo for the position as Upper Rank 1? He was defeated but spared despite most challengers being absorbed after losing. Many of Akaza's attacks and techniques are named after fireworks, a reference to his promise to Koyuki to see the fireworks. Next is our favorite psycho, Upper Moon 2, Douma. Did you know that Muzan never really liked Douma, despite his loyalty and worship of him? Also, Douma made Muzan the figure of worship within his Paradise Faith cult, something that the Demon King didn't like at all. After Kotoha, Inosuke's mother, stumbled into his temple, Douma grew fond of her beauty and singing. He initially never intended to eat her as he enjoyed her company. Kotoha's husband and mother-in-law also went to the cult, possibly in search of her. But Douma found them noisy and murdered them. He didn't devour them though, just left their bodies in the mountains. Douma's attire and eternal paradise faith is inspired by Dzogchen Ati Yoga, a tradition of teachings within the Karma Kagyu, a transmitting lineage and practice in Tibetan Buddhism. Douma himself is represented as the Yalwa Karmapa, the leading figure who teaches all to attain enlightenment. This leads back to Douma's entire blood demon arc techniques being centered around the teachings and practices of the Karma Kagyu. The lotuses are connected to the cycle of enlightenment along with the Lotus Sutra, religious Buddhist texts that teach those about dharma, law, karma, action, and samsara. Last but not least is Upper Moon 1 Kokushibo. Did you know that Kokushibo was challenged 3 times for his position? One of them was Akaza, and we already know how that went. Also, Kokushibo is the first demon slayer to become a demon. He became a demon in his early 20s and lived as long as an additional 460 plus years. Also, no one was able to replace him as the Upper Moon 1. Did you ever wonder why the Ubuyashiki family lives in such secrecy? Well, Kokushibo once killed a leader of the Demon Slayer Corps. This caused the Corps to put extreme effort into hiding the residence of future leaders. This event was also the one that caused the Kakushi to be formed. Time for some cultural knowledge. The relationship between Yoriichi and Michikatsu parallels the mythology of the Shinto kami Amaterasu and Tsukuyomi. Amaterasu is the most sacred of Shinto deities, the sun goddess. Tsukuyomi, the moon god, is her former husband and brother. After Tsukuyomi killed Ukemochi, the food god, Amaterasu refused to ever look upon him again, moving to another part of the sky and beginning the cycle of day and night. Like those deities, the siblings also feud and have chosen different paths, that of Demon Slayer and Demon, developing their respective breathings of the sun and moon. We also know that Kokushibo is the first subordinate of Muzan. But did you know that Muzan actually considers him as his business partner? Probably that, besides Muzan, Kokushibo did the most amount of damage to the Demon Slayer Corps, including slaying sun-breathing users. Kokushibo's blade is made out of his flesh and blood, and he named it Hyokoku Kamusari, which means Hollow Cry of the Godless. A few honorable mentions. New Upper Moon 6, Kaigaku. Because of the movement pattern of the Thunder Breathing's first form, it can be speculated that one reason he had difficulty mastering it was because he placed his sword on his back instead of his waist. Kaigaku's necklace and bracelets are taijutsu symbols. Before he transformed into a demon, the symbol was yellow, meaning good or enlightened, and it turned blue, bad, darkness, depth, after he became a demon. The fractured Magatama itself seems to represent his broken and unstable mentality. Kaigaku received a kimono from Jigoro Kuwajima, his sensei, identical to the one he himself wore and the one he gave to Zenitsu, but Kaigaku never wore it once. Second mention is Nakame. Nakame has many similarities to the former lower rank 6, Kyogai. They both use blood demon arts that allows them to freely manipulate a specific structure at will, have a music instrument to use their individual techniques, and have been given their epithets based on these instruments. She was one of Muzan's favorite upper ranks, since he believes her ability is useful. Nakame's name was mistakenly translated as Natsume in the official English release of Volume 12. That's all for this video. If you enjoyed it, please watch our other videos.